Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Or if you're new here, hi, I'm so glad you found me. So today I'm showing you how to make this top. I know it looks intricate, but I promise you it's so much easier than it looks. And the best part is it's totally customizable, so you can measure yourself and make it fit perfectly for your body. For the written pattern, it is linked down in the description, so make sure you grab that. So, enough talking, so let's get into it. Okay, for this top, you will need at least 250 grams of cotton yarn. I'm using mersized cotton yarn from a brand called Twister, and the specific one is their Ibiza range, weight 2, which is fine yarn. But any weight 2 mersized cotton yarn will work fine, so you can use whatever you have access to. For the hooks, I'm using a 2.5 crochet hook, and the last thing you need a measuring tape since this pattern is fully customizable to your measurements, so the measuring tape is really important here. All right, so let's start by making a slip knot and start chaining. For the foundation chain, you will need a multiple of 12 plus 9 extra chains at the end. We are working this piece from bottom to top, so this chain is going to match your underbust measurements. So take your measuring tape and measure all the way around your underbust depending on how fitted you want it. For example, if your underbust is around 30 inches, you will want your chain to be roughly that length. I ended up with 177 chains, that's 168 plus 9. It measures about 29 inches, which is perfect because I don't want it to be a full tight circle. Alright, so let's start with row 1. So, second chain from the hook, I'm gonna make single crochet. Then skip one chain, skip this one, and in the next chain make one single crochet, then chain 2, that's 1, then 2, and make another single crochet in that same chain. Alright, so now skip the next 2 chains, and in the next chain this 2 needs to be skipped, and in the next chain make a single crochet, then chain 2, 1 and then 2, and make another single crochet into the same chain. Again, now skip the next 2 chains, and in the following chain do the same thing, one single crochet, then chain 2, and then another single crochet in the same stitch. Alright, repeat the same, skip 2 chains, on the next chain make a single crochet, chain 2, and then make another single crochet into the same stitch. I hope you understood. You have to repeat the same pattern. Skip the 2 stitches, and onto the third one you have to make a cluster of a single crochet, 2 chains, and again a single crochet. I will meet you at the end when only 2 stitches are left. Alright, so once you reach the end and you are left with just 2 chains, skip one and make a single crochet in the very last chain. Now chain 1, turn your work, And now we are gonna start row 2. Alright, so now we are starting row 2. What you wanna do is insert your hook right on top of the single crochet from the previous row and then make a single crochet right on top of it. Yeah, so now you will see the chain 2 space from the cluster we made earlier, the one where we did a single crochet, chain 2 and then single crochet. Into the same gap we are going to make another cluster. So make one single crochet, then chain 2 and then insert your hook into the same gap and make a single crochet again. So that's the pattern for this row. We basically making cluster on top of the previous cluster. So let me show you again. So you need to insert your crochet hook into the chain 2 gap and then make a single crochet, chain 2, then insert your hook into the same gap again and make another single crochet. Alright, let me show you one more time. So insert your hook into the chain 2 gap right on top of the cluster, then make a single crochet, chain 2 and another single crochet into the same gap. And that's the pattern. So just keep repeating the same steps all the way across the row. So if you have already understood it, you can continue till the end and I'll meet you there. But if you want to crochet along with me a little more, I'll show you the next few stitches as well. So it's easier to follow. Hopefully, after a few repeats, you will get completely comfortable with the pattern. So I'm at the end of the row and we only have one cluster left. So into the chain 2 gap, make a single crochet, chain 2 and the single crochet into the same gap. Then to finish the row, make one single crochet into the last stitch right on top of the previous row's single crochet. And that's it. Row 2 is complete. To start row 3, make a chain 1 and then turn your project. Now in this row, we are going to make a decrease. So you need to pay a little extra attention here because this part is important. So what you need to do is completely skip the first single crochet from the previous row. So we are not making anything into that stitch, just ignore it completely and instead go right into the next chain 2 gap. On top of the cluster, you need to make a single crochet there and that's it, you have created the decrease. Now after that, continue the pattern as usual into the next chain 2 gap. Make another cluster of single crochet, chain 2 and the single crochet again into the same gap. So basically after the decrease, everything continues normally as just like before. And one more thing to remember, the decrease always happens at the beginning of the row and not at the end. Keep repeating the pattern and I'll meet you at the end of this row, that is row 3. To finish the row, make the last crochet as usual, a single crochet, then chain 2, and then again a single crochet into the same gap, then a single crochet on top of the single crochet from the previous row. Now chain 1 and then turn your work. Alright, to start row 4, we will start with a decrease again. So you skip the first single crochet completely, you have to ignore it and instead make a single crochet into the next crochet. It's your decrease. After that, continue the pattern normally into the next crochet, make a full crochet again of single crochet, chain 2 and then single crochet, and then keep repeating the pattern across the row. You can already see a slight slant from the decrease on the side even just after 2 rows. If the decreases are done correctly, the edge should slowly start to slope like this. And on the other side as well, you can see a small slope. Okay, so I have reached at the end. The ending can be a little bit tricky, so I'll show you here, so see it carefully. Make the last crochet as usual. Then you might notice a small gap right next to the crochet. It can look a bit like a stitch, but you need to skip that. Right after that, you will see the actual single crochet from the previous row. Make a single crochet into that stitch. Now chain 1 and turn your project. Now I'm starting row 5, and as we've been doing in every row, we are starting with a decrease again. So first I completely skip the single crochet from the previous row. Then I go straight next into the crochet and make a single crochet there. That's the decrease. So instead of working into the first stitch, I just move directly into the crochet and start from there. From here on, just keep doing the same thing. Decrease at the beginning of every row, then continue the crochet pattern across the row as usual, and I'll meet you again after a few more rows once you have worked through the decreases and then the shape has formed properly. So I have worked about 22 rows so far, and in around 20 of these rows I have been decreasing. That's created this long slanted shape on both the sides. If I measure it, one side comes to about 8 inches. My total underbust was around 30 inches and I have reduced almost 16 inches overall. So don't worry if it feels like a lot, it's supposed to come in. Even being about an inch off is totally fine. That leaves you with roughly 14 inches in the middle for the front. So the idea is that later I will fold both the sides inwards and it will shape like this with the back center left open so it can be tied. From here on, I'm not going to make any more decreases. Now I'm just going to continue working straight from this point to build the front part. So there will be no increases and no decreases. We are simply extending it straight. I will show you exactly how to continue the pattern from here. Now to continue further, make a chain 1 and then turn your work. Since we are not decreasing anymore, this time we will not skip the single crochet at the beginning. Instead, make a single crochet right on top of the previous row's single crochet in here. So you have to make a single crochet and then go into the next cluster space and make another cluster on top of it. So one single crochet, chain 2 and then last single crochet. Now just continue as it is. A cluster on top of the cluster. And repeat this for the entire row. And at the end of the row there is no change. Just finish in the same way as you were doing before. The only difference in this row is the beginning. Since we are not decreasing anymore, we start with a single crochet instead of skipping it. After that, continue the pattern exactly the same way as I showed you in this row, and just keep repeating it until the front part reaches the height you want, and then I will meet you again at the next step. So now I have reached the height that I wanted for the front part. So let me measure it for you so you can get a better idea of the sizing. So the straight front section is almost 4 inches and the top section is around 9.5 inches, around almost 10 inches. So I would suggest you can make this height a little bit shorter, almost like 3 inches instead of 4. Also, to fit the project on your body perfectly while making the foundation chain, make 4 inches bigger than your actual measurement to fit you perfectly, because I'm getting 26 inches because the project shrinks. The single crochet V-stitch shrinks, so keep that in mind. So with that, the main body part is finally done, and now we can move on to the lace part. I will be working the lace along the bottom edge from where we originally started the piece. Okay, so now let's start working on the lace part. So let me just insert my hook into the very first stitch and connect my yarn in here. And then make 3 chains. 1, 2 and 3. Then I'm going to make a double crochet into the next stitch. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it better. So this right here is the next stitch I was talking about, and we are going to make a double crochet right into it. After the double crochet, make 4 chains. So this is 1, 2, 3 and 4. And now we are going to work into the 6th stitch and make a V stitch. The stitch can feel a little tricky to count here, so an easy way to follow is then by looking for that little wave shape along the top. So these will be considered as stitches. So now you can count from here. Like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into the 6th stitch make a double crochet. Then chain 2, and into the same stitch make another double crochet. So that's your V stitch. Now repeat the same thing again. So make 4 chains and then count to the 6th stitch again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is the 6th one. Into this stitch I'm going to make another V stitch. So for that, make a double crochet into the 6th stitch, then chain 2, and then make another double crochet into the same stitch. So this is the pattern make 4 chains, and then into the 6th stitch make a V stitch, and that's what we are going to keep repeating across the row. So if you understood the pattern, you can go ahead and continue repeating it till the end of the row. But if you'd like to see a few more stitches, I will show you a couple more repeats so you can really get the hang of it. After the 4 chains, skip 5 stitches, and into the 6th stitch make a double crochet, then chain 2 and make another double crochet into the same stitch. Again chain 4, skip 5 stitches, and into the 6th stitch make a double crochet, chain 2, another double crochet into the same stitch, one more time, chain 4, now skip 5 stitches, 1 2 3 4 5, and into the 6th stitch make a double crochet, chain 2, and then make a double crochet again into the same stitch. This is the pattern you will keep repeating for the entire row, and I will meet you at the end. I am at the end of the row now, and if you have been following along correctly, you should have only 7 stitches left. This is 1 2 3 4 5, this one is 6, and then 7. Now do the usual chain 4 and into the 6th stitch make a double crochet. And to match exactly what we did at the beginning of the row, make one double crochet into the next stitch. And with that, the lace part row 1 ends here. For row 2, chain 4 and then turn your project. Now make a double crochet into the next stitch, which is on top of the double crochet. And that creates a V stitch here. Now make 4 chains. Into the next V stitch, we are going to make 3 unfinished double crochet together. Now we have to make 3 unfinished double crochet. So this is the first one, then make second, and then one more, and then pull through the 5 loops, and then you'll have 2 loops, then pull through the 2 loops again, then chain 1, and then repeat the process. You have to make 1 unfinished double crochet, then 1 more unfinished double crochet, and then 1 more. So total 3, then pull through 6 loops and then again through the 2 loops. Chain 1 and repeat the process. 3 unfinished double crochets and then pull through the 6 loops and then pull through the 2 loops. So that is the first cluster. Then chain 4. And for the next stitch, we are not going to make any change in here. We will make just the V stitch as it's already in the first row. So for that, make a double crochet into the V stitch, then chain 2, and then make another double crochet into the same V stitch. So that is the V stitch. So now for the second one, we are going to repeat the same pattern that we made. So chain 4 and then again try to make a cluster of the 3 unfinished double crochets. So that is my first cluster of unfinished double crochets. Then chain 1 and then again make the cluster of 3 unfinished double crochets. Chain 1 and then 1 more. So this is the pattern that we are going to follow. We are going to make a cluster of 3 unfinished double crochet into one, and then into the next stitch it's just plain V stitch. So it is the repeat. So chain 4, and then into the next stitch we are going to make a V stitch. So make a double crochet, chain 2, and then make another double crochet into the same V stitch. So that will create a plain V stitch for us. And then chain 4, and then we are going to make a cluster of unfinished double crochets. So this is the first unfinished double crochet cluster. Then I'm going to make another one after chain 1. Chain 1, and then make another cluster of unfinished double crochets. So this is it. This is what you have to do. Alternate into one of the stitch, make a plain V stitch, and into the next V stitch make the clusters of unfinished double crochets. So this is what you have to keep repeating till the end of the row. But if you could not understand how exactly I made the cluster, I will show you in a minute the slow version of it. So what you have to do is yarn over, then insert your hook into the V stitch, yarn over again and pull through the stitch. Now you should have 3 loops in your hook, then again yarn over, insert your hook through V stitch, yarn over again. Now you should have 5 loops, and then yarn over again, insert your hook through the V stitch, yarn over again, pull through, and now you should have 7. Now what you have to do is yarn over and pull through only 6 loops. And then you should have 2 loops left in your hook. Then yarn over again and pull through both the loops. Now chain 1 and then repeat the process into the same V stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over again, pull through, yarn over again, insert your hook, pull through, yarn over, insert, yarn over again, and now yarn over and pull through 6 loops, and then you should be left with 2, yarn over again with through loops, chain 1, and then repeat the process. So this is it. This is what you have to keep repeating for the entire row, and I will meet you at the end. But if you could not understand, you can always go back and rewatch the video. So I'm at the end now, and into the next V stitch I'm going to make a plain V stitch because the previous one was one with a cluster of unfinished double crochet. So here make a double crochet, then chain 2, and then another double crochet into the same space. Now chain 4 and then make a double crochet on top of the second to last double crochet. Next, chain 1 and then make a double crochet on top of the last double crochet in the stitch right next to it. Now chain 4 and then turn your project. So now we will start row 3. Make a double crochet on top of the next double crochet. So skip one stitch and into the next stitch make a double crochet right on top of the double crochet. Yeah, like that. Now chain 4 and into the space of the previous V stitch make another V stitch. Then again chain 4 And then in here we are going to work into the gaps between those clusters. So in the first gap I'm going to make the cluster of unfinished double crochets. So I'll make 3 unfinished double crochets in here. Then chain 1, and then I will work into the second gap. Do you see the gap in here between the clusters? So we are going to make 3 unfinished double crochet in here as well. So the idea here is in the previous row I made 3 of these clusters, and in this row I made 2, and in the next row I'm going to make 1. So that's the pattern that we're following in here. So now again chain 4 and then make a V-stitch into the gap of next V-stitch. Then chain 4 and into the next cluster section make 2 clusters into the gaps. Chain 1 and then the next cluster. I'll show you one more set. So chain 4 and then make a plain V-stitch into the space of next V-stitch in here. Then again chain 4 and then we are going to make clusters in the space in these clusters. Make 3 unfinished double crochets. Then chain 1 and then again make 3 unfinished double crochets. Then chain 4 and then continue. So this is it. This is, you have to keep repeating. This is the pattern till the end of the row, and I will meet you once I reach at the end. So I'm at the end. To finish it off, make a double crochet on top of the second to last double crochet. Then chain 1 and make a double crochet on top of the last double crochet. So that's it. This is the end of row 3. Then chain 4 and then turn your project to start row 4. Skip one stitch and into the next stitch on top of the double crochet, make a double crochet. Then chain 4. Now in this section we only have one gap between these clusters. So I'm going to make just one cluster in here. Then chain 4 and into the next gap, into the next V-stitch, make again a plain V-stitch in here. Then again chain 4 and then in here there is just one gap, so I'll make one cluster of unfinished double crochets. So make 3 unfinished double crochets and that's it. So chain 4 again and into the space of next V stitch, make again V stitch in here. Then chain 4 and continue doing this. So this is the pattern. You have to keep repeating this pattern till the end of the row. You need to alternate between single crochet in the gap and a plain V stitch until the end of the row, and I'll meet you there. I am at the end now, so just finish it in the same way as shown in the previous row. Make double crochet on top of the double crochets with one chain in between. Then chain 4 and then turn your work to start the next row. So this will be our 5th row. So you have to start as usual, skip one stitch and into the next stitch make a double crochet, then chain 4. So in this row the pattern changes slightly. So we are going to make clusters of unfinished double crochet into the first V stitch, and into the next one I'm going to make a plain V stitch in here. So into the first space make a cluster of unfinished double crochets like in the second row. So this is the first cluster, and then chain 1 and make the second clusters in the same space. Again chain 1 and then make the third one. So this completes the set. So now chain 4 and now in the next stitch we make a plain V stitch. So as usual make a double crochet, then chain 2 and then double crochet into the same stitch. I hope you understand what I'm trying to do now. The pattern has changed slightly in this row. Basically, we are alternating things now. Where we previously made clusters, we will now make V stitch on top of them, and where we previously made V stitches, we will make now the clusters. So the design is basically creating a leaf effect. So the leaf pattern shifts to the other side and becomes more visible. Continue this pattern till the end of the row, and after that you have to repeat exactly what we did from row 2 to row 4. So you have to exactly repeat that pattern, and then I will meet you after the lace part is done. Alright, so the lace section is finally complete and I'm really loving how it turned out. So I have made around 7 rows, and by this point you can see the full leaf pattern showing up properly about 2 times. So lace is done. Let's move on to the next step. So I have laid this out flat so you can clearly see what's going on. Now let's make the straps. So to do that, we will go on to the top section and I will be adding straps on both the sides, and for the straps using double chain stitch, and it's also called as half I-cord. And so to make that I will measure in total around 300 centimeters. So first I'm measuring 150 centimeters and then I will double it to make it 300 centimeters in total. And then just hold at this point where you have counted as 300 centimeters and bring the open end yarn on your left side. This is the open end is on my left side. Yeah, and then just hold this 300 centimeter part, hold it there, and then bring your project where you would like to attach the straps. So I would like to attach my straps in the left side of the corner. So just insert your hook and then wrap the main end of the yarn, not the loose end one, and then attach the yarn to the project. And then wrap the loose end yarn in your crochet hook, and then you'll get 2 loops in your hook, and then yarn over and then pull through both the loops. Now you have to keep repeating this. So let me zoom in. So what you have to do is wrap the loose end into your crochet hook, then you'll have 2 loops, then yarn over into the main yarn and then pull through both the loops. I hope you understood, because explaining this is kind of messy in here, but maybe you can slow down your video to understand it much better. So this is what you have to keep repeating until you run out of the loose yarn, or I would say the open end yarn on the left side, and then I will meet you back here. So I have reached at the end, and now I have almost used up all of my loose yarn. So now just snip off the extra and then just tie these both, and then later on I'm going to hide the loose ends. If you don't like this method or you find it a bit tricky, you can also just go with the simple chains instead. That works perfectly fine too. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the another side of it. Okay, so I have made both the straps, and now I'm going to do the final step to complete this top. So to finish it, I'm going to find the middle section in here. So it's about 10 inches. So the midpoint would be around 5 inches in here. From there, I will take this long strap and pass it through. I'm using my crochet hook to help the strap pass it through. You can do the same with your hook too. That would be easy, I guess. And then I will guide it all the way through to the corner, just above the lace section. So I will pass the strap through in here at the corner. It's a bit hard to pass the strap through because it's thick, but try a couple of times and it will go through. Now you have to repeat the same process for the other side. Alright, that's it. Your top is done, and you can tie the straps right in the middle here. Just make sure you neatly hide all the loose ends so everything looks nice and polished. If you want, you could also add a small metal hook between these two corners for some extra security and hold. I'm adding one here, but this step is completely optional. It just helps keep both the corners in place a little better. You could also sew a button instead if you prefer. And that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you end up making this top, please tag me on Instagram. I would absolutely love to see your creation. Thank you so much for watching.